You just need to speak much more louder. That is the only key thing that you need to realize to overcome shyness and appear much more confident among the strangers. To the new people, you just need to speak a bit more louder. That is all it takes. Actually, it truly improves. But you don't realize that you always been talking like, what's, hey bro, can you, bro, bro, 1 minute. Can you give me the pen, please? You've been speaking like that for all your entire life. You've been speaking in much more lower volume instead of speaking a higher volume. You're always talking in a lower volume and thinking to yourself like, why the strangers thinking me was so shy even if I'm not, I'm a bit more confident. You've been talking in a much more lower volume all of the times, and you always be feeling of envy of the people who are talking much more louder than you. You'll be thinking, damn, he's speaking loud like he's the leader of the room. I wish I can talk like that. Yeah, it's just like that. You can speak much more louder. You can talk, but you are the one not utilizing it. Maybe because your parents say like, don't talk loud, talk in a more like a bitchy way like that. You don't have to be like that, bro. For example, my teacher, she has a new stuff, okay? In my university, I'm studying university. She asked some of the students to come up on the board and read those things on the board, okay? So some of the guys go up on the stage and speak like in a much more quieter way, just like you. They will be talking like, yeah, this is like that. They were speaking much more quieter way. And when she see me and asked me to speak that, I spoke in a much more confident way. I spoke like this, and I'm having a much more body language person, okay? And gestures are much more natural for me now because I've been practicing it, and it will also become much more natural for you if you join the course below. That's body language section there. Okay, anyways, I was talking like this and having a body language, and I was reading that. I was just reading that even if I don't know anything about what is there in the book. I was just reading it, but with a much more confident way. I was speaking a bit more louder. It actually happens naturally for me because I've been recording a lot of videos. I had recorded more than 100 videos, YouTube videos, so that you need to realize. So when I was talking on the stage, I was much more confident. I was able to speak in a louder volume. So it actually takes practice, right? When I was talking louder and in a perfect way, she even complimented me in that for that. Like I was talking a much more braver way. I was talking with brevity. What is the next word for brave? Bravery. I guess that is okay. I was talking much more bravely. I was able to speak. Other people just like mumbling there. Their voice was so much lower, but I was speaking in much more louder volume. She was a stranger now. Okay, she is a complete stranger. She is a new stuff, and she actually taught me of a much more confident guy, cause I was speaking much more louder. And I'm not always complaining, cause it's also a bit troublesome in some situations. Not in some. It can be much more like during a cold approach. It was heavy as problem. Like you can't able to raise your volume in the right way. Sometimes your voice may be cracked up and like what the fucking noise I made. Your voice will be much more like cracked up and you can't speak much more clearly. But also it actually happened during the gym for me. When I recently joined the gym, I wasn't able to speak properly during the sets. Okay, after the workout, my voice, I was like, I what like that. I can't even speak. Okay, I pushed so hard, and when some of the guys that I know, some of my friends came up. Hi, how are you? What's it all? What they pushed it? Like that, I can't even increase my volume. I was like, fuck, I'm talking more like a bitchy way, like, ah, I need to talk much more louder, but I always thinking, but I can't able to make it happen. And I see some of the guys were speaking in a much more louder volume, even in the gym. I was like, just sip the water and speak in a much more louder way, in a normal way. Just first match up with the other person. Don't make the other person so much weird. Okay, if you're talking in a one-tone thing, like when I tell about strangers, it's a plural form. Okay, you need to realize it's in the group way. When I told you about that I was reading from the book, it was for all of the people. There are a lot of people, and even on YouTube, it is for a broad audience, not just only for you. No, I was talking in a much more louder way, but if I was about to talk to a stranger, I will have a much more louder volume. If it is the first time that I was speaking with them, I will have a bit more louder volume with them. Even on the phone, anywhere, I will have a good amount of volume. You need to treat your volume in the scale of 1 to 10. Okay, if you are speaking like this, like I don't know whether you can actually grab the idea, cause the mic will has potential to, even if I was speaking in a lower volume, its volume will be like higher. So I don't know how it's gonna happen. So speaking like this, that is a 2 by 10 of the volume. If I'm speaking right in the 6 to 7 in the volume, I can able to increase it to the 10, but I don't know the mic can catch it. Just a second. Okay. Mic can whether catch it or not. Because of the mic, it can't actually see the difference, okay? But you need to talk in the variety of the volume. You need to increase the volume. You have always been in your life talking below the 5. I always tell you to do to at least talk in the 6 to 7 with anyone. If you are in a much more intimate way, don't do it like, hey girl, how are you doing like that, okay? Be careful about it. And always be aware of the room. Just be as big as the room, but it's still have a much more louder one. Cause the people who click on this video, I know who are you. I know exactly about you. You always talk with a much more lower volume, and that is the reason that you clicked on this video. You need to just speak much more louder. Because of you speaking in a lower volume, the people tends to think about you like you are much more shy, reserved, and unconfident. It is all because you are speaking in a lower volume. If you just started to talk with much more louder volume, people will definitely think that you are much more confident person. And if you want much more other tips like this, I'm actually helping a guy in real life. Okay, this is a Reddit post. If you want truly help like this, you can get down, and there is a link in the description. There is an amazing course that will transform you from this version of you to a newer, better version that will have the ability to talk loud with much more fluency, with much more influence. You are able to do it. If you bought the course, that is in the link in the description. See you later. Bye.